Hi, welcome to Digital Trust Talks. Great intro, by the way, I have to say. We're going to talk a lot about cryptography, cybersecurity, and digital trust in these talks. And today, we've got a great talk about the reduction of TLS certificate lifecycle. So my name is Eric Mizell. I'm the field CTO and VP of Solution Engineering at Keyfactor. And I'm joined by Dimitris, who's our PKI Manager at HARICA. Dimitris, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, Eric. Hi, everyone. My name is Dimitris Zacharopoulos, the PKI Manager of a public CA called HARICA. I'm also the chair of the Server Certificate Working Group of the CA Browser Forum, and I'm joining you from Thessaloniki, Greece. If I can just say a few words about HARICA. HARICA was established in 2006. It's supported by a non-profit company in Greece called GUNet. Over the years, it gained trust not only as a public CA offering TLS, SMIME, code signing certificates, but also as a qualified trust service provider, offering qualified certificates under EIDAS trust framework. My responsibilities include managing the trust services, leading compliance, and making sure all the changes in HARICA's processes are made on time, based on the industry rules.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks for the intro. How's the weather down there?
Well, it's summertime in Greece is always awesome.
I hear, man. I always wanted to get there. Well, I appreciate you joining today. So today we're going to talk about the shift to the shorter TLS certificate lifespans, what this means, how do we get prepared. So let's just get started. The industry has shifted, right? We moved from longer live certs to 1 year, and now we're moving from, it was talked about 90 days, and now it's 45 or 47 days. What is the goal behind shortening these periods?
Well, based on the experience of the first reduction that happened in 2019, people in the industry kind of expected the certificate validity to be reduced again by either, it would be picked up either by Chrome, Google Chrome, or the Apple team at some point. So recently, in October 2024, at the the CAP Forum face-to-face 63 in Seattle, Apple presented a plan to reduce the TLS lifetimes from 398 days all the way to 47 days. Now, before that, Chrome had suggested a reduction to 90 days. So that's what we were expecting. It was a bit of a surprise to hear an even further reduction in this validity because it is still an unknown territory for a lot of industry stakeholders. But the proposal didn't just stop at reducing the certificate validity period. It also reduced the allowed reuse period of validated information, both for domain names and identity. This means that organizations that were validated every 825 days for the organization validation part, now they would have to be re-vetted every 398 days. And also domain names would be only allowed to be reused for 10 days. So that's a very big change in the reuse period of those validations.
I think it's an interesting thing. To your point, the reduction of the cert lifecycle is going to be challenging enough, but now we have to validate our domain every 10 days as well. I think we get a lot of pushback and a lot of questions from people. How do we do this? How do we automate this, right? I think it's going to be an interesting time as we shift. I think the nice part is they're giving it a fair amount of time, reducing a shorter period and then reducing. So it's not all at once. You've got some steps there along the way. And I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like I said, we had like a 6-month discussion about reducing this the validity period of certificates. This was introduced as ballot SC81 in the CA Browser Forum. Of course, I need to clarify that although I chair the CA Browser Forum, I don't really represent the forum in any way. So I'm just representing the HARICA here and in all these events. So, of course, as everybody else, HARICA participated in the public discussion, stating our arguments. But it was a very spirited conversation, not just inside the CA Browser Forum, but also taking input from the industry, from subscribers, from relying parties. And these are all public discussions. All the people can go back to the public archives of the CA Browser Forum on GitHub or the mailing list to read the details. But mainly the supporters of this ballot they wanted to basically solve some hard industry problems, knowing that the revocation of certificates at internet scale just doesn't work very efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work very well. We've seen problems with OCSP and CRLs. They
Mm-hmm.
both have drawbacks. So reducing the certificate lifetime really minimizes the attack window for several risks. The main points that were raised by the browsers, if my memory serves right, is that when there is a domain name transfer, the previous domain owner still has access to a private key and a valid certificate that can intercept traffic and decrypt communications. So that window needs to be as small as possible to reduce this attack surface. And similarly for hosting providers, we know that there are a lot of hosting providers, cloud providers that manage keys and certificates on behalf of domain owners.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens if if a domain owner wants to move to another hosting provider? That means the old hosting provider now has access to a certificate and a key that can decrypt traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So the only really effective solution to this this issue is to reduce the lifetime of certificates.
That makes sense. It really does bring the picture in clearer now. So do you think, now this affects only, I think we talked about it a bit, but it affects only the public certs today, not the private.
Yeah.
And we'll get deeper into the private side in a minute, but do you see browsers only supporting certs that are shorter life cycle as well? Or do you think, right now I know that the model is that the public CAs will only issue a shorter lived cert, but do you think the browsers are going to get to that level where they only will accept the shorter lived cert?
Well, no, I don't think they have such an intention.
Okay.
Browsers have been very clear that the root certificates that are distributed by default, and this is what they call public certificates. They will need to follow the rules of the C browser forum.
Mm-hmm.
But if an enterprise wants to introduce their own private PKI, their private routes, one way or another, then the browser will support it. They will still do the TLS connection. They will connect to the website, and the user will not see any warnings. Okay, but these are, let's say, enterprise-controlled trust stores.
Yep.
And the browsers will still honor that.
Okay, perfect. So I think that gets us to the next step, right? So we've got a shorter lived cert. It makes sense. We want to reduce risk, right? So shorter lived cert reduces risk, takes pressure off OCSP, CRLs, but now we have to go do the work, right? So people who are doing things manually, it's going to be quite a change because it's now, instead of once a year, it's 12 times a year. What challenges do you think that's going to put on different companies?
Okay, first off, this is the best opportunity we have as an industry and as an ecosystem to clarify a very common misunderstanding in our industry. If you don't need a certificate to interact with the browser, you should definitely consider switching to a private PKI. It can be offered by a public CA. I mean, most public CAs now offer private PKIs for internal enterprise use cases. Okay, they are more flexible. The security is still at the same standard, especially if it's an audited one, and audited usually through using a very good baseline. Also, if you have a website that is not accessible to the public internet, maybe sometimes they're used behind firewalls. Okay, again, consider switching to a private PKI. You control who accesses this network anyway. So why have all this complexity with the public certificates? All these years, as a public CA, HARICA, we've seen customers using certificates in many weird ways, like behind IP, behind firewalls, in special devices like call managers, proxies, you name it.
Yeah.
These are not use cases where public CA certificates should be used in. So it's a great opportunity for people to reevaluate, especially administrators, IT administrators, of companies and see if they want to switch some certificates to private PKI. This problem actually became very amplified when the CA Browser Forum introduced MPIC, the multi-perspective issuance corroboration, effective in March 2025, where every domain name needs to be verified by multiple internet perspectives. And if those websites were behind a firewall, they were not. You can't check it.
Right.
So it's a great opportunity to do that.
I think that's perfectly said. Let's just summarize that real quick. I think what you said is super interesting. I just want to make sure people that are listening are thinking about this. Is if they're using a public cert for where it could be a private cert, it's an opportunity to make a change, and it's a smart time to make a change because you don't want to have to update those every 47 days, right? You want to get back to the 1 year internally. And then the next thing you said is with the MPIC, you're not going to be able to, right? You're not going to be able to run that. So it does help people use a proper PKI for the proper use, right? Is that a fair statement?
It is a fair statement. And just to add one more detail, we also see, and that this is based on public incidents, that a lot of critical infrastructure services were using public certificates. So, industries that have very strict regulatory requirements, they need manual reviews and manual change management policies, which makes it totally impractical to use web PKI certificates. So these are use cases that they definitely need to switch to private PKIs.
Okay, perfect. So now when we actually have public and we're moving to 47 days, let's talk about what do we do?
Yeah, well, like you said, Eric, the reduction to 47 days is a phased-in approach. Okay, the first milestone is in March 2026, where the maximum validity will be reduced to 200 days. Okay, in addition, domain validation will also be reduced to 200 days, meaning that CAs can only reuse the domain validation for 200 days instead of 398. In addition, then the subject information also needs to be reduced to 398 days, but that stays there. No further reduction for the reuse of identity validation. But then in March 2027, certificate validity will be reduced to 100 days, along with the reuse of those domain validations. And finally, 2 years later, in March 2029, that's when we'll have the 47 days validity, and domain validation will go down to 10 days.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, right?
So there is a 2-year gap between 100 days and 47 days to get the industry prepared.
Yeah, it gives us time, and it's funny. We talk about this a lot. You know, the best time to start automating was 10 years ago. The next best time is today, right? Because if you wait until the last minute, you're going to be in trouble. And I think we at Keyfactor and a lot of other people in the industry, there's no one size fits all, right? There's a mix of tools to get to automation, and the best thing is to get to automation, whatever fits your company's needs, whether it's a tool like Certs or is it some sort of an automation tool? Is it scripting? Is it infrastructure as code? I mean, there's a bunch of ways to do this, but you need to get to it. You have to start making that change now. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is a call to action.
Yes.
If people don't get the message, and I really appreciate inviting me to this Trust Talks, because the industry needs to know about these changes. The sooner the better. I know that not everybody monitors the C Browser Forum or these changes, and sometimes they get the news by surprise. But with efforts from CAs like HARICA, like Keyfactor, we can get the problem resolved faster. But it's not just the subscribers that need to do automation. Okay, it's not that they only have the challenges. CAs also are going to face challenges because their certificate populations are going to be multiplied. Not the same volume, the same number of domains, if you will have double or triple the certificates. So all the databases will need to grow. Imagine CT log operators. Same. We already log every certificate we issue. These are going to be challenges, infrastructure challenges.
Yeah.
So everybody will need to prepare for that. And obviously, HARICA uses EJBCA. We're a huge supporter of that, and we hope Keyfactor will also work on performance improvements.
We always are. We always are. And that makes complete sense. It's interesting. One of the comments you make, and as I do a lot of these talks at different conferences and the like, I know you do as well. The interesting thing is think about if I have a wildcard cert as well, and a lot of people do wildcards or lots of SANs, and you deploy them everywhere. It almost seems like you're in a worse shape. If you have this cert deployed in 100 locations and they all have to be renewed at the same time, I think it's another good time to get to best practices too, is reducing wildcards, reducing the tons of alternate SANs, and that way maybe you can spread out the renewal process across servers so it's not all at once. What are your thoughts there?
Well, it's easier said than done.
Yes.
There are some legacy systems out there that nobody touches it. They don't support wildcard certs, and the only viable solution for these legacy systems to work is with having multiple domains in a SAN. So we've received requests to have like 200 SANs in one certificate. And obviously, this is a call for the subscribers to change their systems, or think about other solutions like deploying a proxy, a reverse proxy that can support wildcards, terminate the TLS connection, and then use a different method to reach the origin, basically, the legacy system. We've seen that happening when we transitioned from TLS 1 to 1.1 and then 1.2. And there were web servers or devices that couldn't get upgraded to support the new protocols. The only way to solve it was to use a proxy. So same technology. We've seen it before. No need to reinvent the wheel. But we definitely need to include the certificate automation in place, and that's the key.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at, right? Like, what can we do now to adapt to the shift, and how do you future-proof? Because I think really this is the precipice. We have PQC coming right behind it. Well, that's another talk, right? That'll come later, but that's coming. And so I feel like this is kind of a great way for people to get prepared. So how do you think we should start now, and how do you future-proof for that next wave?
Well, I'm sure people are already familiar with the ACME protocol that was introduced in RFC 8555. Now, there are many ways in which certificate lifecycle management can be automated. Of course, ACME is a relatively new protocol. CAs had APIs that supported automation long before ACME was standardized. Okay, HARICA, for example, had APIs that could do automated certificate management, lifecycle management since 2015. Now, ACME just made it easier, and more robust in terms of consistency among CAs. You use the same ACME clients to request certificates from Let's Encrypt, from HARICA, from DigiCert, from Sectigo, from every CA, basically. And it's making it easier to move from one CA to another. So the ACME helps subscribers to switch more easily. Also, ACME has a lot of community support. There are many extensions that that can work with the core ACME protocol to basically webhooks that can support automation with different web servers. You can use it in Kubernetes. You can use it in multiple environments. And the automation works very well. Imagine Let's Encrypt has been around for many years, issuing 90-day certificates, and they have invested. That's all they do, basically. They really focus on DV certificates and ACME. So they have done tremendous work to improve these tools for the industry, and these tools can be used by any CA that supports ACME.
That's perfect. All right. Well, let's see. Since we'll wrap this up, last question. Do you see this trend continue? Do you think we're going to go shorter than 45 days?
Okay. Well, in the CA browser forum, the TLS baseline requirements has a notion of short-lived certificates. This is currently valid up to 10 days, and in March 2026, they will be considered short-lived if they are up to 7 days. This means these certificates do not require support for any revocation information. So no CRL distribution points, no OCSP locator URLs need to be included in those certificates. Now, that means these certificates can survive a mass revocation event. You can't really revoke them, okay? They don't have any revocation information.
Right.
So I can predict the future, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point the CAB forum wanted to promote those 7-day certificates to prevent the risk of mass revocation. Because mass revocation creates a lot of pain in the industry. We've seen CAs getting distrusted because of those events, and it would just make sense to at some point move to that direction.
That makes sense. All right. Well, hey, look, this has been great. Any key takeaways? Anything you want to leave behind before we wrap up?
I would just say 3 words: automation, automation, automation. That's just the message that needs to come across. The time to prepare for that is now. Don't waste a day. I don't think the CA Browser Forum is going to make any changes to the timeline, at least for the first 2 milestones. The 100-day milestone and 200-day and 100-day milestones will definitely be in place. And we're going to revisit the situation in 2028, okay, to see if the 47-day destination is doable, and take feedback from the community, see what the challenges are out there. But we don't need to waste any time.
I think you said it perfectly. Like we talked about before, the best time to start was 10 years ago. Next best time is today, right? Don't wait, because the more you wait, you're not going to be able to solve it overnight. So you need to grow into this. And then again, look at it as a stepping point into the next wave of PQC. You're going to figure this automation out, this repeatability in over this 3-year period. And the next thing's going to roll right behind it, which is PQC. So I think it helps people get very prepared. So to your point, start today. So.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks so much, Dimitris, for joining us. And thanks everybody who's watching. And be sure to follow the Digital Trust Talks on LinkedIn for more of these episodes. Thanks so much.
Take care.